Making Jello.
Angie Toon says this has always been a big ingredient
I love making Jello.
of life in Utah.
It's like a staple.
Jello was a Sunday night thing.
And Christy Spackman grew up thinking Utah was always the Jello state.
Because it just seemed like a fact when I was a kid.
And then,
If you believe the contemporary Jello mythos,
the food studies academic did some research.
Mormons for decades have consumed Jello. Frankly, I was really surprised.
Gelatin began as a dish for the rich, an elaborate way to preserve fish and meat.
Sort of trickled down from high-end French cuisine into an everyday consciousness.
Refrigerators, packaging, marketing brought it home.
The Jello program starring Jack Benny. With
Radio
Bill Harris
comedian
as
Jack
orchestra.
Benny made his Jello sponsor
Decide on Jello
a
because
household name to the tune of 5 notes.
Jello.
Then by his band leader Don Bester, Utah musician Kurt Bester's great uncle.
You know, who doesn't remember that?
It's just 5 notes, yet
Yeah.
it had such success.
It's been ranked as one of the top 25 jingles of all time.
Folklorist Eric Eliason says the rise of Jello followed big changes in American society and its kitchens.
The rise of Jello follows the rise of processed foods, the rise of the American middle class.
The 50s especially, I feel like Jello really came into its own in the 50s. Then it was a much simpler time. The Jello really reminds me of that. Cheese vegetable salad, a tangy cabbage salad.
In fact, you have a history of Jello being associated more with Midwestern cities such as Des Moines, Iowa.
Shredded cabbage, pimento, and dill pickles.
You know, you had me when you said pickles.
Then sales declined from the 60s to the 80s, and General Foods introduced the Jiggler.
For me, Jello Jigglers are kind of the touchstone of my own childhood.
Consumers ate it up.
I think it was a game changer in a sense.
Jigglers may have saved Jello.
It divorced Jello from, for example, the idea of the Jello salad.
It's after that, Spackman says,
The late 1980s, early 1990s.
that Salt Lake was named highest in per capita Jello consumption, that the legislature voted Jello its official state snack, that Utah got its Olympic Jello pin, and became the Jello state.
Most people would say Jello is an integral part of Utah identity.
You could probably even make the case that there is a stronger tradition of Utahns talking about Jello than actually making it.
Just what all this Jello talk means
Haha, look at Utah, that's so interesting and weird and strange.
is open for interpretation.
I think it says about Utah that we really like our sugar.
Angie Toon,
This is vintage Tupperware.
whose kitchen
It came with a modern flat top stove, and I replaced it with this one.
takes you back 60 years,
It reminds me of being a kid. It
simply has a taste
reminds me of old-fashioned homemaking.
for another time. Peter Rosen, KSL 5 News.
So the idea for this story came from an article by Christy Spackman, and I read that, and then I went hunting for the rest of the pieces of the story. I found the BYU professor for some added perspective. Kurt Bester's uncle was a little trivia I just stumbled upon. And then I found Angie through her blog. She and her laugh really made the story. And then I cooked up a batch of Jello and put it in the frame, in the shots and the pictures and the video. And that provided a little continuity, little color. And then I filled in the missing B-roll with the help of After Effects.